Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now we're doing another beer from the kind of home bargains and B&M kind of series, and what we're looking at is buying kind of lesser known brands or less popular brands or brands that aren't really kind of sold in the UK. Buying these brands, is it better than buying the kind of cheaper supermarket beers or the kind of mainstream piss waters and things like that? So that's what we're kind of looking today. Today I've got the beer there, ooh, and it's Warsteiner, and we've got this at Home Bargains, and it's a 5 litre keg, hence why there's no bottle or can that's in the beer machine. So I've just poured it. The head's just kind of dissipated a little bit if you're on the podcast, but it's a nice clear lager, and yeah, it's roughly about 5%, if I remember rightly, but again I'll confirm all the facts in the beer facts below. But yeah, so we're looking at these type of things to see, well, is it better buying the kind of cheaper supermarket brand beers like from Aldi or Lidl, or some of the mainstream piss water deals you're getting in other supermarkets, than buying these type of beers that are branded beers that seem to have a better reputation in general, and that's what this series is about. So Warsteiner, it's a German beer. It's been reported as being quite a nice beer. It's been reported that a lot of reviewers have given it positive reviews, and overall, if you look at the kind of reviews across Europe, it seems to be kind of quite highly regarded in that sense. But at £17, what's that working out at? So £17 for a 5 litre keg, which works out, if it was basically 500ml cans or 500ml bottles, that would work out, you'd be getting 10 of them. So again, it's working out roughly about £1.70, so it's not too bad. It's still well below the £2 mark. At £1.70 in today's kind of prices right now, and if it's a good beer, it may actually turn out not too bad. I mean, if you look at it for kind of equivalence wise, it's like getting certain cans, like say Guinness is a good example. It's roughly about £5.25 for 4 cans, and they're only 440ml and things like that. So it gives you an idea of what beer is kind of costing if you take that kind of Guinness as a good kind of an example. So yeah, so let's crack it open. Let's crack on and have a drink of it. Crack it open. It's one of those days. Been running a bit like a blue ass fly, and I'm telling you, my head is up my backside. So yeah, people on the podcast, nice kind of clear lager, light kind of straw colour. The head, well, it's quite a nice foamy head, and you can see there's quite a lot of lacing on the glass. Obviously, if you're on the podcast, you can't see this, but for other people can confirm as well that yes, there's a nice bit of lacing on the glass, and it looks a fairly kind of lively beer from that point. So let's see what it tastes like. No, let's see what it smells like. Jesus, I really am out of practice today, aren't I? Well, I'm getting grain. Getting that slightly kind of tomato salsa. So slightly acidity to it is what I'm getting. Getting grain, getting light malt. Not really getting any sweetness. Not really getting anything hoppy wise coming through. But yeah, getting the kind of major things of kind of grain, light malt, that little bit of kind of salsa or Heinz beans juice, if you want to call it. But yeah, let's see what it tastes like. Initial impressions is it's quite nice. It's quite nice. The last German beer we did was a fest beer. Alkonig, it was, and I felt that was kind of lacking in body, just kind of lacking, bordering on the kind of watery, and just in general the flavours just weren't really there. Since I actually did that review, I watched a couple of other reviews and was very surprised that certain reviews said, oh, now there's body, oh, it's got a lot more body and everything else. And I'm thinking, am I missing something here? Because there's not. I mean, but anyway, it just shows you that whatever reviews you watch, you know, whatever you find, somebody else will find something different. And I suppose drinking beer is subjective. But I can understand people maybe getting different flavours because, again, it's subjective and certain flavours might stand out more to other people than someone else. And that's how it works because our tastes are different. The problem is with the body side. The body side is more to do with feel. And I find that strange. I can understand people say, well, it's got this flavours, which I wasn't picking up and things like that. I can understand that, but body-wise, if you say something's got body, it's because it's actually physically there. It's part of the kind of mouth feel and everything else, and how the beer feels, you know, when you're drinking it, as well as giving you that kind of support to core flavours. That's really what all the body is about. And to say that it's got that when it hasn't, then alarm bells are ringing, thinking, do you not really know what body is? And we're getting planes now. That's something new, isn't it? And for people that don't really watch the reviews, of which there are many, I don't blame you sometimes. I don't. It's a smart move. But yes, we have a history of kind of background noises. We've had dogs barking, car alarms going off. We've had emergency services. We've got a regular big bore exhaust boy, big bore boy. And what other ones have we had? We've had cats coming in and just kind of, oh, hello, and then buggering off. And yeah, we've had some kind of weird things. And we've had church bells as well. So now we've got a bit of aviation background noise, which is quite nice. I don't know if you pick up. The problem is sometimes I hear the noise and it maybe doesn't come across in the actual audio, which is great, but I've got to obviously mention it because one, it's distracting me, and two, then if I don't mention it, you wonder what's that noise in the background. If it is coming through, I don't know until I've edited it, so that's why I'm thinking, well, yes, that was an aviation noise this time. And also, as the case is, you might think it's me, which of course sometimes I do make kind of a unpleasant and unexpected noises, but not this time. But yeah, so yeah, the initial first sip, not so bad. Got a nice mouthfeel. I mean, it's very sessionable. You could sing this quite easily, as you can see. We've had two mouthfuls and halfway down the glass. So yes, it's quite easy drinking, and overall, I think it's quite a nice, pleasant kind of lager. I would say I prefer it, and I like it better than that face beer I tried, which was Erlkönig, which was the last German beer we tried. So it's nicer than that, because it's got kind of nicer flavours. There's just a nice underlying sweetness. There's a bit more body to it as well. So again, you can't really call it watery, and overall, it's just quite a nice rounded kind of lager. Now, if you look at the price and everything else and getting it in a keg, then I think it's actually quite a good kind of bargain, because let's be totally honest, you can go to the likes of Aldi and Lidl and spend up to £1.50 on lagers there, and they're not going to be a patch in this. Let's be totally honest. We've tried all these kind of mock pilsners and things like that, and Jesus God, and Galahad and all these kind of nonsense, and well, with home bargains, that's a good one. They also had Budvar there as well for £17, but I didn't get that because I've actually got a bottle of it and it's going to be done as part of the Chexies. I might do it later on to see what it's like in the keg, but I'll be doing the bottle. and I'll be doing a review as part of the check series, so that's why I didn't get it. But just to let you know, it's the kind of same price as well for all. I think if you can drink a litre, I mean, one of the biggest things that we said about these kegs is there's good points and bad points to them. One of the bad points is being able to cool them without taking up loads of room in your fridge, unless you've got an additional fridge you can use, which is fine if you do, but if you don't, then it's going to take quite an area of your fridge, which I'm sure will probably cause issues and problems if you're married, or if you're living with a partner, male or female. The other side of the coin is that once you've kind of opened it, you kind of feel obligated to drink it. So unless you're getting friends round and it's like for a kind of a drinking session or a party or a barbecue, then maybe you don't want to be drinking that beer days on end, or drinking that amount of beer in the one go, let's be totally honest. So, but maybe just depending on what your lifestyle is and everything else, you might not want to drink beer every night of the week as you're just having, you come home from work and get a beer. I don't mind that. I quite like having a wee beer when I come home from work, just to kind of, one, highlight, well, that's it, working day's completely finished, and just help to relax. Nothing wrong with the occasional beer. The thing is, though, I also have a beer machine that takes these kegs, so the benefit of that is it cools it, dispenses it and everything else. I don't have any issues, and it can sit a lot longer within that situation. Whereas, let's be totally honest, if you've cracked it open and you've had a couple of beers and then you put it back in the fridge, well, there is obviously the risk of the damn thing kind of leaking, because it's just this little plastic kind of tap thing at the bottom, which, let's be totally honest, isn't the most robust system. Whereas if I use it in the beer machine, it's feeding up from the top, so it's not using that tap at all. It actually has a thing that goes down through the top, and that's why you use carbonation to basically force it up through the top, so it becomes a top pour rather than a bottom pour, which of course if you just use the tap that's on the keg. So yeah, there's potential for, oh Jesus, this is pissed everywhere in the fridge. Not a good idea, and trust me, see, I've had situations like with that, and yeah, it doesn't make you popular with the other half in any way, shape or form. Bugger. So yeah, there's good points and bad points with the kegs, but they suit me to a certain degree, so I don't mind them. I can live with them quite easily, just because they're not such a big hassle. But if I didn't have the beer machine and everything else, then yes, I'd be less likely to buy the kegs. I'll be honest with you, it can be a bit of a faff, so there's the honest and the reality of it. So again, it's all down to personal choice, but for price and what you're getting and the type of quality of beer you're getting in it, then for me, it's a good bargain. It's a good buy. But other things have to be taken into consideration that, like I said, that can make the difference of whether you would get it or whether you wouldn't. So yeah, and let's be totally honest, sometimes nipping into your local Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Morrison's or Aldi or Lidl is a lot easier, and just on the way home, than trying to find a home bargains or a B&M or whatever. Yes, I can understand that, but at the end of the day, with the prices of lots of things at the moment, especially beer and alcohol, I think we all have to kind of go out our way to try and find better deals, because unfortunately nowadays the deals aren't coming to you anymore in the supermarkets, so sometimes you have to just go and search for them, and that's why I'm doing this series. It's just to kind of do a trade-off, is are these beers sold in these kind of places like B&M and Home Bargains, are they really a bargain? Are they all they're cracked up to be? And that's why we're doing this as a kind of little kind of mini series. It's just kind of tagging along. Whenever I'm in there, I'll see what they've got and grab something. But yeah, overall, not a bad beer. Let's break down the flavours. Start off, you're getting a nice maltiness, and this is what I'm talking about. One of the things is with the lagers is if you use a good amount of malt, then it does give you a good foundation, a really good foundation. Okay, we're not talking about ale levels of malt, but we're talking about a heck of a lot more malt than you're getting in your kind of Stella Artois and your Carlings and your Fosters and all these other piss waters. So you've got to give you more of that, and it has that. So it's got a nice level of malt, nice level of grain, and you're getting this nice underlying sweetness, which again you feel there's a connection between the sweetness and the malt. A lot of times, sometimes you're getting sweetness and you just think, well, it doesn't feel as if it's connected to the malt, and you think, well, where the hell is this sweetness coming from? And of course, well, we kind of all know where it's probably coming from, and it's not in the more natural kind of form, put it that way. But yeah, so it's got that. Move on to the kind of mid-tongue. The flavours slightly dissipate in the mid-tongue, and the sweetness slightly kind of dissipates, but it's still quite there. But what you're also getting is, just feels like you get a ever so slight little pepperiness coming through at the kind of back end of the mid-tongue, and just getting ever so slight accents of bitterness, just ever so slight accents. And then of course it moves on to the aftertaste. And yeah, you're getting a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of accents, are just slightly ramping up a bit, but they're still accents. But they're just nice. So as the malt and the grain starts to dissipate, you're starting to get these little kind of bitter accents are building, and you're getting that little bit of pepperiness as well in the aftertaste. It just kind of slightly growing a bit more than it was in the mid-tongue. And the sweetness is there, and it just feels that the sweetness and the bitter accents just kind of tail off together. And it's just quite a nice, clean but interesting finish. And it's nice because there's that little contrast of a slight pepperiness, but also a slight bitterness as well. And it just makes it more interesting and kind of sets your mouth up ready to go back in. It's like, it changes enough from the front of the mouth to the aftertaste that basically entices you to go back in. The thing is, if you have that kind of same flavour from front to back, then the flavour's there, there's nothing there to kind of really entice you to go back in for another drink, whereas this does. And I think it adds to its kind of sessionability, as you can see. I'm kind of wiring in here. But overall, I mean, I'll be totally honest, I find a lot of German beers, hit and miss, and I find more misses than I find hits. And the problem is, I react to what I'm tasting, I react with what's in front of me. I don't give a shit about reputation or anything else or what other people say about it. So if I'm tasting something that I like, then I like it. If I taste something that I don't like, then I'll be honest and say I don't like it, regardless what anybody else is saying about it or regardless what reputation it's got. That doesn't matter to me. I can only review what's in front of me, and if I'm tasting something that I like, then I'll be honest about it. And there's a lot of German beers that I've tasted in Germany, over here, in other countries, that I found really quite disappointing. You're thinking, well, where's all the hype? And I think sometimes this is what comes down to it. There's a lot of hype in this industry. A lot of times people have ulterior motives for saying something's great or wonderful for whatever reason, and I don't give a shit what the reason is. I don't really give a shit, why they're doing it or whatever. I don't care. But at the end of the day, with me, I want to be honest. And the problem is, first of all, it's not being honest with you. That's a knock-on effect. I'll be totally honest, I'm being honest with myself. If I'm tasting something that I don't like, then I'll say I don't like it. And that's me being honest with myself, because that's it. My reactions are honest. If I do like it, then again, I'm being honest to myself. Now, by being honest to myself and doing these videos, that automatically means I'm honest with you. Whether you agree with what I'm saying or what I'm tasting, whatever, that's a different story. Because like you say, and I've said before, taste is a bit subjective, and we react to different flavours. Certain flavours we home in on, other flavours we miss. And of course, obviously, certain flavours we like and other flavours we don't. So again, if we're getting flavours that we like, then we can say this is a nice beer. If we're getting flavours that we're not so keen on but other people love, then we might say it's not so good. Body wise and everything else, like I said, that's a different kind of kettle of fish, and usually people should have a kind of a similar reaction to kind of body. So if you're getting this type of flavour, that's great. If you're getting that type of flavour, that's great. But the kind of feel of it, and they all kind of all, what the heck's going on with this? Oh, it's just the sun coming through. So I don't know this in my face now. But anyway, I'm thinking, there's something appeared, which isn't the first time that's happened. But yeah, so I can understand that. But I'm being honest, and I don't mind if people disagree with me. I have no problem with that, and I can understand why people disagree with me. But you know, sometimes you watch the reviews and you're thinking, well, I've tasted that beer and no, I wasn't getting that reaction. You know, sometimes the cases of people can slightly differ, but if it's just a huge difference, then you start to kind of wonder, thinking, and then, you know, they're bumming it up and saying it's great, and you're thinking, no, there's an ulterior motive here. I mean, they're not tasting half of the stuff they're saying. And yeah, I mean, it's just like they're reading a script, you know, and some of the flavours, you know, and the silly complex flavours. And then, of course, you also look at how maybe the beer or the brewery website has described the beer, and then suddenly this reviewer's using the exact same terminology and everything else. You think, right, okay. Yeah, maybe you're not being completely genuine and your reaction and your kind of review. So I know people will sometimes comment and say, well, I don't agree, I found this and that. Well, that's fine. I mean, it comes down to, if you buy a beer that you enjoy, regardless of whether I like it or I don't like it, doesn't matter. If you enjoy it, then keep buying it and keep enjoying it, because that's what we drink for. We drink to enjoy and relax and everything else. So it doesn't matter really what I say. Let's be totally honest. My view is a kind of a guide that, you know, I'll give you my review. You can use that as a guide, as in maybe a kind of starting point if you've never had that beer before. But if it's rank rotten, then there's probably a good chance maybe you shouldn't spend your money on it. But if I try and say, well, it's not really for me, not really that great, but by all means give it a go and see what you like, and you may get a completely different feel from it. And that's great. So don't restrict yourself just on the basis of my reaction or my reviews, because this is the whole situation, it is subjective. So I want people to kind of understand that, because sometimes maybe they miss that point, and there's no ulterior motives. I don't look for subscribers, I don't look for likes, I don't look for anything like that. At the end of the day, I make the reviews. You can choose to watch them or not watch them. I don't care. It's as simple as that. You can take my opinions on board, or you can completely kind of disregard them. Again, that's your own personal choice. I have no problem with that. And if I've reviewed a beer and it's not for me, and then people send a comment and say, well, no, I find this beer really wonderful and it's great and it's one of my favourite beers, then wonderful. Spot on. You're a lucky person. If you really enjoy the beer, then keep on enjoying it. Keep buying it. And hopefully they don't change it or fuck about with it, and you're in happy land. But it's not for me. So it's that type of situation. I think I've got to try and kind of let people know that. So I do this because I find it fun. It's like a little hobby. I'm not doing this on the basis is that I want to make a career out of it, or I want to make a business out of it, or I want to be this, that, or the other. No, I just enjoy it. But I do have a knowledge of brewing, a very good knowledge of brewing, and I also have quite a good knowledge of beer. So there you go. That's maybe the reasons why I do it. And yeah, it also kind of drags me out of my comfort zone, because it's too easy that we all just kind of sit there and keep drinking the same beers because we like them and everything else. And we become that kind of like set in our ways. And with this, it just keeps me trying something new and something different. And of course, I've also got people that donate beers, like Adrian, and again, his kind of outlook on beers is a bit different from mine, so he will buy beers for me to try that, I'll be totally honest, it wouldn't be my first choice, and I would probably walk past them in the supermarket or the bottle shop or whatever. So that's another thing, that he will buy beers that I probably wouldn't for review, and again, it takes me out of my comfort zone and things like that. So there's a kind of good balance from that, and yeah, but take my reviews as a guide, not as a gospel, and go make up your own mind. But what I want you to know is there's no ulterior motive. I'm not looking to get anything out of it. I buy the beers unless they've been donated by Adrian or somebody else, and it's my money, it's my opinion, and if you don't agree with it, well, that's fine. You don't have to. But you've also got to understand is that I don't also have to agree with yours. You know, it's a two-way street, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But out of 10, what would I give this? Well, I'll be totally honest, it's actually quite a nice beer, it really is. And for 17, I mean, I'll be totally honest, as a good example, the last German keg I bought of German beer, last keg, was a Kronbacher, which is quite a nice beer. It's quite a nice beer, Kronbacher. And I think that was on sale. That was on sale, and I think it was from Beerwolf, and that cost me roughly about £21-22 roughly. I think it was almost £22, not including delivery and everything else. So this, I would say, is nicer than Kronbacher. That's what I would say. I like this nicer. And just the slight peppiness and the kind of bitter finish and things like that, and the nice level of malt and the nice underlying sweetness. These are the kind of main kind of points that really pick up when I'm drinking it, and it just makes it just a nice kind of all-round beer with a nice mouthfeel and very sessionable. For £17 compared to almost £22 plus delivery. Now I think it's a case as though, I think if you're over £40 it's free delivery, so I actually had to buy 2 kegs of it to get it with free delivery. So again, if I only want 1 keg, then either I pay the delivery, I think it's roughly about £6, or buy another keg and I get free delivery. Whereas there's no delivery in this, and it's £17, and yeah, it's just that little bit nicer, just that little bit more complex, but just the flavour profiles just suit me. So on that basis, I think it's a far better deal and a nicer beer. And yeah, I'm going to give it 6.5. 6.5, bordering on a 7. So it is actually quite a nice beer, and I would recommend it. But again, because it's in the keg, it might not be suitable for you, or it might not be something you want to buy, and I can understand that. So, but if you have an occasion where you can maybe utilise a keg, or you have maybe a beer machine that allows you to kind of have that kind of a little bit more flexibility with kegs, then yes, I would definitely recommend it. And I would say yes, it's definitely a bargain, and definitely a lot nicer than what you could get as own brand kind of supermarket own brand beers, and also the kind of deals in the mainstream piss waters in the likes of Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, whatever. So yes, it's 6.5 out of 10, bordering on a 7. So thanks for watching, cheers, and bye for now.